Hi and welcome back to this channel. Once again people, this is Sadik from Sadik's Lens. I hope you all are doing good. I know it's been really long time that we have created any content which is in context of photography. Now that we have come back strong, you'll be seeing a lot of good content. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about landscape photography because it is one of the most short genre in photography because we see beautiful places all around us wherever we travel, right? So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can shoot landscape with your mobile, with your camera, the setting, the gear and lots more. Subscribe to the channel because we are going to start the video right away. So this video is for those people who know their exposure triangle correctly, which is the basics of photography, talking about aperture, ISO and your shutter speed. It is very important to understand that what is a landscape photograph. We usually shoot a landscape photograph horizontally so that we can cover as much as our eye can actually see. But today, because of social media, people are shooting in the vertical format because that's how Instagram and other social media work. Landscape photograph comprises of three very important elements or layer, which is the foreground, the midground and the background. Most of the time people make a mistake of not capturing the foreground and just starting the image from the midground towards the background. I'm going to share two photographs with you. One is the proper landscape and one is the landscape in a portrait mode so that you understand the difference between both and how you can make your landscape shot look stunning. So here's the first image. This is a classic example of a nice landscape. This part that you see over here is called as the foreground. Basically it is leading you to the midground. In the midground we have these beautiful flamingos placed well in the center in the middle of the scenario, hence it is called a midground. And here on top you can see the sun is setting down and that is your background. This is how you can create a beautiful image by adding a nice foreground, a midground and then a background. So this is how a landscape should ideally look like. Now tell me one thing, had I not captured the water leading to the flamingo and the flamingos leading to the sunset, this picture would not look good. Have a look for yourself. If I crop this, imagine if I were taking this kind of shot, it would really look incomplete. So it is very important to have those three layers. Now let me show you an image which I shot in a vertical format. This landscape was shot in the Netherlands in the Keukenhof garden where they really have amazing tulips. Now let's look at this image. Again, look at this, we have added a wonderful, a beautiful foreground. We can see the leaves over here leading to the flowers and the car which are in the midground, and all the way behind we have other trees, the sky which add up to the background. These days many photographers, in fact I have also shot a lot of drone shots using the drone to capture a nice landscape. I shot few in Thailand. Let me show you a couple of images. Here again you see we have captured the foreground, then we have the midground and then we have a background. So if you use these techniques, you are surely going to get amazing landscape photography when you're on your vacation next. So what kind of gear will you really need to capture a nice landscape photograph? Do you really need a very expensive camera, a full frame, a crop sensor, a DSLR or a mirrorless camera? Does not really matter as long as you know how to use your gear in a right manner and capture stunning photographs. Yes, you can also shoot beautiful landscape with your smartphone, but then there are some limitations. To begin with, you can start off shooting landscape photograph with your kit lens. Most of the camera which you buy come with a combination of 18-55 lens, 24-105 lens. Those are the best lens to start off. You don't really need to buy a wide angle lens already, unless and until you have fallen in love for landscape photography. Moreover, it is important that you have a tripod so that you get a stability, you can compose your shot in a nice way and get some stunning photographs when you're out there in the wild. Now what kind of settings are we going to need when you're going to go and shoot your landscape photographs? It is very simple. There is no thumb rule or a fixed formula to shoot landscape photographs. But if you're talking about aperture, an aperture of f8 to 11 or 12 is a good aperture to start. Again, it depends upon the lighting conditions out there. Shutter speed as per lighting conditions. ISO should always be under 100 because we do not want any kind of noise or grains. When shooting on your mobile phone, it is one good thing is that in a landscape photograph, you want everything in focus, and that's what exactly your mobile phone does. one challenge that you will face. You can probably use the manual mode for capturing on your mobile, you can control the shutter speed, the ISO, but you will not be able to control the aperture, so that is one challenge. Moreover, one very important thing, my friend, is that always shoot on RAW, because when you come back and post process your images, you need to get the best out of them, which JPEG will not allow you. I've created a video which talks about the comparison of JPEG and RAW. Watch the video right up here. Now, composition plays a very important role in any genre of photography, and it is no different for landscape photography. I have created a detailed oriented video on composition skills and how you can master composition, be it landscape, portrait. The link is right up here. I would highly recommend, please watch this video after you're done watching this particular one which you're watching. Now this brings me to the most crucial and important part of this video. If you want to capture a beautiful landscape, the very first thing is that people take life-threatening risk, which is not really required, going very close to a cliff, edge of the mountain, climbing higher altitude where probably the oxygen level would be very low, and that could cause life-threatening issues, like it could also cause death. Please, no photograph is important as your life. There's somebody waiting back at home for you, so no risk in any kind of photography. That is the thumb rule and the most important rule. Now the second thing is, when we go to a beautiful place, we simply pull out a camera and start taking pictures. That is the most worst thing you can do as a photographer. Relax, soak up all the beauty, let your eyes, your mind enjoy the beauty, look around, don't take out a camera, feel the calmness, feel all the beautiful things around you, and then after 15-20 minutes you can pull out your mobile phone and then start looking for a composition before you take your camera out. That way you can see what you are going to shoot rather than getting a camera out and then looking into it. I always do that. I look in my mobile phone, I see what composition. Once I know, okay, this is what I'm going to get 2 to 3 good composition, that's when I pull out my camera and I start taking beautiful photographs. Now comes the third part, is that people think that a gear is very important, that I need an expensive camera, expensive lens. No, I told you earlier that you can shoot beautiful images even with your basic crop sensor, DSLR camera and your kit lens. So it is you who is going to take the shot and not the camera. A camera is just a simple dumb object. While shooting landscape, people tend to forget adding scale in an image. Now what does a scale in an image means? Let me show you. Now if you look at this particular image that I'm showing you, this is a mountain and it is covered with snow. I really can't make out how big that particular place is or it was. So if I would have added a small element, be it a house, a human object, that would have really shown me how big that particular place is. So don't just shoot blindly. Always look for a scale in your particular photograph so that you can show people how big that place was. Now look at this image that I shot using a drone in Thailand. Now if I would have not used the boat or the person standing on the seashore, this would have really made no sense, because I would have not been able to make out, even you wouldn't have been able to make out what is the scale and how big that particular place is. So this is what scale, adding a scale in your photograph actually means. Being photographers, we tend to miss out on reading the histogram at the location. You all know about a histogram. It is basically a light reading kind of a small box which shows you how exposed or underexposed your images. It is important to see how your image is looking at the scene and the histogram reading, so that you come back with correctly exposed images. Another important thing here is that you need to add an element in your photograph. Like how we spoke about scale, you also need an element. You can't just go out there and shoot anything and everything. Basically, you need to add something that signifies a nice landscape. Probably you can add a tree, you can add a house, anything, but that really makes your landscape stand out and it works as a strong subject. What makes a beautiful landscape photograph? Obviously the sky adds up to it. Now look at this image. I have not shot it. This is from the internet, but then I wanted to show you how a beautiful sky adds so much of beauty to an image. If you're going to shoot a photograph which is bland and has a a gray sky or a dull sky, it's not going to stand out. Another issue with the photographers are that they want to shoot really wide, probably use a fisheye, use 11mm, 10mm, 12mm. The idea is not to shoot anything and everything your eyes are seeing. You have to compose the shot. Now, lighting condition plays a very important role in landscape photography because you're going to go out there and shoot in the open. If the sun is shining really bright, there is no point. You're going to come back with whitewashed images, overexposed images with no detail. It's best to shoot in a golden hour. Now, what is the golden hour? Suppose the sun rises at 6 in the morning. 6 to 7:30 is a golden hour, best time because the sun is nice and soft. Anything after 7:38, the sun is going to be really intense, no point in shooting. Towards the evening, if the sun sets at around 7 o'clock, you can start shooting around 5:15 and get 1.5 hour of window to shoot. That is also called as a twilight zone or a twilight timing. So this was about the lighting condition. Tripod is very important because when you're going to shoot out there, you will need a nice foreground, and it is very difficult at times to really bend and go right down on a surface to get that foreground. A tripod will do that. It will give you great stability and it will avoid any kind of shake in your images. Otherwise, you may end up getting some blurriness. How can we forget this one very important point? When you're shooting outdoors, you're going to need extra battery because you're traveling several kilometers away from home. You don't want to run out of battery because your entire trip and your efforts are going to go in vain. Also carry extra SD card because when you're going to shoot in raw format, you're going to need a lot of space. If you run out of space, again your efforts are gone. I'm going to see you in the next video really soon. You can watch these two videos on composition, one on how to shoot astrophotography.